hold the phone up and talk into it. So I'm just going to film this G that somebody carved into the table. And it's really windy, so I don't even know if this will take, but today I just kind of wanted to talk a bit about telepathy and the issue that obviously humans are not telepathic en masse, and I don't think we'd be even remotely ready for that, but I do think that we have perhaps even some genes that are epigenetically turned on in some people that allow for more of that telepathy is totally possible. And so, you know, my own experience has been, I came out about the whole graze thing on my other channel, and that's part of my telepathy experience. Some of my experience with other people and even animals has been pretty interesting, and I think telepathy is misunderstood. I think science doesn't even know how to approach it. You've got people like Sheldrake and a few others who are doing some work, you know, and they get ridiculed, and Sheldrake got stabbed in the leg by some crazy mind control fan. So, you know, there's a lot of suppression in science about this. There's no doubt about that. And I think the reason is they want to shut this down in people, and they'll turn it on in selected people like super soldiers and whatnot. But those of us who've had experiences with this and to some extent have some telepathic ability know that there is also the issue then of synthetic telepathy, and we know they have the voice-to-skull technology, and in my experience that's been highly discernible from the organic telepathy. And someone was talking, I can't remember, there was some video that someone sent me, and the guy was talking about how when you have an organic experience with telepathy, you sense a being on the other side of the exchange. You sense their nervous system, and you sense their, you can sense their emotions and whatnot. And that's been my experience with the whole gray thing, and it's been my experience with other people sometimes. I've had some strange experiences in public, of all places on the bus. I used to have a lot of weird experiences on the bus in Portland. Just bizarro. And, you know, there was this one guy that I saw multiple times, and he told me he was an empath, and he had this baseball cap on that had a gray alien head. It was like a neon green gray alien head. And I saw him when I was way out on some bus route in the middle of nowhere in like some suburb country road. He like comes walking by. He just walked by. He didn't even wait for the bus with me. And this was after I'd seen him a number of times, and it had been kind of weird, and he'd said some really strange things. And, you know, I felt like he was in complete telepathic rapport with me, and we had a conversation, and as he walked down the road for like a quarter mile before the bus came in the opposite direction and picked me up, I kept on telepathically asking him at different intervals that were random. At random intervals, I would just ask him, I would say, turn around, prove it. You know, I was like, turn around now. And he would turn around immediately when I said that. And then he'd walk forward again, you know, for 30 seconds to a minute. And then I'd say, turn around. And he'd do it immediately upon my command. And it was just a really weird exchange. You know, you never know what's going on with shit like that. Is it your imagination, whatnot? I don't think it was. There was, what was exchanged was some very interesting information that's complicated in and of itself, but had to do with the elements. And just he was proving to me that he was the real deal, I think, too. I've encountered so many people that have had experiences that really you would have to be, even the most hardened skeptic would have to, think twice about them, especially when things are happening repeatedly. And so the problem with all this is, of course, psychic exchanges and whatnot it's all a very subjective science. There is some hard science on all this, though, and I think people should at least give it a chance and give it a view. Some of the most hardened skeptics have said that, yes, our current scientific paradigm, you know, and our current protocols do seem to prove that remote viewing and whatnot are real, and telepathy, that there's some basis to it. But I don't know, I think most people it's shut down. It's also one of those things where I do believe that the conscious mind can really interfere, and that the people who are more successful with it are the ones who've quieted the mind and gotten down more into the subconscious levels. I think other people are giving us not only verbal and hypnotic suggestions, but telepathic suggestions all the time. And when you're in the aura of someone and you're interacting with them, you're going to have more of a rapport. And so if that person is telepathic and you are too, you're going to develop that kind of rapport as well. And you may not even realize that you have, their thoughts are coming into your head. You may not realize that. But, you know, what DNA can do, and DNA can broadcast, and the plasma field surrounding our body, there's so many factors that need to be explored. As far as the people who are hung up on how does this work and is it really possible, I think that there's people on this planet who already know it's possible and have actually developed it to a very high degree. Not all of them are bad, I'm sure, and not all of them are good, and it all ties in with the non-local mind and having the ability to work on the astral and to see with your inner eye, your pineal, your third eye, whatever. So I'm probably running out of time on this thing anyway. Oh, it's only 6 minutes in. What else do I want to talk about with this? Empathy is a different thing than telepathy, but it's more common, and it's more accepted. But basically, people who are highly, highly empathic tend to be more, receptive, and they often are the people who have the hardest time. They really do. Empaths really have to figure out how to control and shut it down and buffer, and they have to be very good to themselves as far as, taking care of themselves first and getting away from people when it gets to be too much. If you're an empath and you're stuck in situations where you can't get away from people, it can be really difficult and really damaging. You generally are going to find that empathic people are going to be more telepathic as well, I think, at least in my experience. I think that when we're having, when we're in proximity of someone, we're more likely to have shared mind fields. And distance, I think, does decrease the magnetism, but I don't think it really makes a difference in the long run. I know people can have all kinds of interactions from a distance. And I've known people, I've been on the internet for over a decade, and I've known a lot of people on the internet, and I've had incidences where I'm talking to somebody over the internet, and we'll both I'll be sending them thoughts, and they'll pick up on it and email me and tell me, yeah, I was feeling you last night while I was dreaming or whatever, and you were conveying this. And so it's interesting how the internet seems to be like an externalized technology that is based on what probably is internal hardware. What if our junk DNA contains these unexpressed genes that could give us all kinds of psychic and telepathic ability? Derp. I think it's all also the genetic side of it. I think a lot of it's shut down by chemicals. I think all these chemicals are messing with our genes and turning off the more sensitive genes, because they desensitize the DNA, because they're trying to they're really chemicals change genetic expression, I think, more than almost anything. Radiation and heavy metals too, probably, but all these GMOs and whatnot. I'm sure the people who are, eating a lot of sunlight and phytonutrients and in their foods, and who are getting healthy fats to feed the brain, and who are hydrated with good water, those are the people who are going to be able to open up that DNA and get the good expression going on, and they'll be able to maybe develop these abilities more naturally. There are sections of humanity that already have, and who are healthy compared to the rest of the population, and have incredible abilities. And I don't know, I think they're probably, if there's a genetic future where there's a heart and it's not a bunch of psychopaths, because that seems to be there's another side of it, that they're trying to turn everybody's empathy off. So, if